Obviously, cash flow is one of the most important things in your business. So we have the most incredible Day chairman here today that is going to talk to you all about your cash flow and insurance. She is the managing director of Jade Financial Group.
So I'm Day chairman. I run Jade Financial Group. I've been a financial advisor for over 20 years. Cash flow is queen, as far as I'm concerned. If you don't have your cash flow sorted, you're going to be stuffed. Okay. And that is one of the most important things in business. So I've been a business owner for over 9 years now. And the thing that out of all of the people I work with that keeps us awake at night is that somehow the accounting doesn't marry up to my bank account. And it is devastating, isn't it? You look at the end of month with the BAS and you go, whoa, hang on, I didn't get paid. So this is what I want you to really embrace today and take on some of this cash flow, because cash flow is different to what happens in the accounts. So the first 3 years of business for me was just the biggest eye-opener. By year 4, I thought I might have known a few things. Year 5, okay, this is kind of like, okay, we're going all right here. And then now I'm coming into my 10th year, I'm starting all over again. So that's what happens in your business. It evolves constantly. So don't lose those feelings you're having now, because they'll come back later, trust me. Okay, so enjoy. Yeah, sorry, bad news. But I love business. I've been in business. My family has been in business. My father's never worked for anybody else, having help if he ever did. But I've been in business since I was a little girl. And my first business was a shop, and I had a little retail shop that I was running in the neighbourhood, and it was run on a barter system. So I was always inevitably going to end up working with money. But the beauty of financial advice, it's about goals, which is even better. So when we look at cash flow, what we've done is I always like to start with a bit of research. This is a disclaimer to say everything I'm sharing with you today is general in nature. If you've got a specific question, please come and see me later and I'll give you specific advice. When you put money in superannuation, it often stays there a lot longer than what you think, which is when you retire. So we'll talk a bit more about that in the time that we've got today. So you never take your eyes off the cash flow. Never. Okay, this is one thing when you're looking, and you would have already felt it now if you're a couple of years in, is that sometimes you're just looking at that bank account and go, I've worked so hard, it doesn't reflect what I'm doing. And in fact, in our business yesterday, we did exact that same thing, because we all sat around the table and went, whoa, we've been working so hard. Where's the money? And so we found it, because it's still in our debtors. Okay, so we've got to get that moving along. And so we've got somebody in our business who always manages your debtors. That is the most important piece of work. And with your accountant this morning, they would have covered off maybe some of that language around what a debtor and creditor is. So make sure you keep on top of that. It is the lifeblood of your business. It will determine whether or not you can grow, and it will determine whether a bank will give you money. Okay, so they need to be your best friends too. So we did a bit of a survey, and I hope you got these packs, but what this says up here is that 54% of people between the age of 55 and 64 strongly agree that they'd like to live for today, but they know there is a future. And they're quite concerned about their financial position. Financial stress in Australia is one of the leading causes of mental illness. Okay, so I work a lot in the financial well-being space and working with the well-being wheel, and the finance is often a pinch on that. And when you're in business for yourself, that actually, I think it has a power of 10, because it's just you. And that's where it gets a little bit overwhelming at times. And that's why I think if we can just deal with the cash flow, pretty much everything else sorts itself out. So 35% of Australians have a significant level of distress in their lives. 26% are above normal anxiety levels. And 26% have a moderate to severe symptoms of depression. So this cash flow thing permeates the rest of your life, which is why it's one of my passions to talk about. It's boring. Nobody wants to do it. But I'm going to get you to do an exercise today that will take some of that power back. Okay. This is a small business checklist that I just popped into the slide deck. And I was really keen to let you go through this and just tick off what you've already learnt. So a few things that you've already learnt is legal structures. You learnt that this morning. Registering your business name. That was something that we've just heard about. Taxation. Learning about what that is. Government grants. I'm very much into free money. So I have hashtag free money as one of my things. And we sit around and work very hard thinking about where we can get free money. So don't ever give up a discount. I fight for those. I've got a couple of websites that I follow that I only buy my makeup when it is on special. Okay? These are really little things, ladies, that we can do to save money, or redirect it is a better way of using it, because what are you saving it for? You're actually redirecting it to somewhere else. And that's how you should look at your cash flow. I never ask a client to stop spending money. I simply ask them to redirect. Okay? So find those chestnuts of free money out there. There's a government grant from the state government in relation to supporting you. Do you know this one? With website stuff? Electronic sort of social media stuff. Build your business, and this one matches you 50. If you put in 10 grand, they'll match you 10 grand. So there's grants out there. So jump on websites, find out. Small business websites are the ones to look at. Federal government has them. Business enterprise centres used to be around. The government stopped funding on those a number of years ago, but it's all online. So this is your research side of it. To find, your job is to find the free money. Okay, don't leave it on the table. Pick it up. And that's what we do all the time, picking it up. Discounts for our seniors, little things that we tell our clients about. We get, after the Commonwealth Games, for instance, we told everybody to ring their electricity provider, and they save 20% on their usage immediately. It's one simple phone call. Okay, interest rates on loans. Ring your bank Monday. Ring them. Tell them, I want a discount because Di said. I've been to see this crazy woman financial advisor. She said I could get a better deal. They will drop your rate for you. It's amazing what a phone call will do. Do not expect people to come to you and say, I can save you a heap of money. They're just not going to do that. Okay? That's not going to happen. Okay? So it's really about this balance between, I found it difficult to get here today. I was telling some of the ladies, there is a whole myriad of bright, shiny objects out there that I was just like going, do I have to go and do this presentation? I'd really like to go shopping. And as a mother and a business owner, there's not a lot of time. So that was very distracting. So try and get rid of those distractions. Another thing is the paying at the pump with your fuel. I don't know about you if you've got your kids, but if they're in the car with you, all of a sudden I'm buying 3 drinks and a couple of snacks, and it's another $20 on top of my fuel. I actually pay at the pump now. Kids are devastated. It's devastating. I devastate myself because we get a little snack, but that's another thing that you can do. So there's always little things that you can do to stop yourself from having the opportunities to spend some money. So it's a leading cause of stress. I've already pointed that out. But I think the thing is that you just need to accept what is. It's something Laura and I, my other advisor that works with me closely, that we talk about, is accepting the situation. Don't beat yourself up. It's boring. So this is just not about your business. This is about you and what your cash flow looks like. Because when you're in business, it's kind of the same thing. It's just you. It's your personal stuff as well as your business stuff. Okay? So this is a little bit small, sorry on the font size, but cash flow is just simply the amount of money that is coming in and the amount of money that's going out. That's what cash flow is. It's different to a budget. Budget, everybody usually cringes when I say these words. It's like I'm swearing at them. A budget's kind of useless at times. Right? Everybody says, I've got a budget. Okay, well, how often did you look at it? Well, I don't, but I did one. Well, that's useless. So if you're going to work with a budget, it has to be something that you actually manage yourself to and keep yourself accountable to. Now, I know on a Friday night you don't want to break out the old bank account and have a look how you went. But I think that's probably the first thing you should do. And then you can drink more or less depending on the outcome. But this is really important to really not let things flutter away. You work too hard. You work out how easy it is to give money away. But do you ever stop and think how much it took to get that into your account? We've just heard about websites and getting money to people to part with their money for your services or the products that you've created. That took an amazing amount of effort. So before you give it away too easy, just think, is this really what I want to do? Okay? I see a lot of nodding. I hope it's not before you're going to sleep. So it's not a measure of your wealth. Cash flow is not a measure of your wealth. Okay, and quite frankly, what is wealth? Okay, people retire on the age pension and are very happy. People retire with millions and millions of dollars in their bank account and never spend it. So what is wealth? to you. And if you look at wellness and your health, if you don't have your health, wealth is irrelevant. So these are the things I try and stress to my clients who are in their pre-retirement years of looking after their health, because I can come up with the best strategies to create wealth, but without that health, it means nothing. So don't get wrapped up around the axles about having the biggest bank account. Really understanding yourself, what money means to you. And we've done a lot of work with the Economic Security for Women Council, of which I'm a member, on what is economic security for women in Australia. And in your business, you need to understand what that means to you. So I don't know whether you've covered off value propositions for your businesses yet, and what your values are in your business, but that determines about this cash flow and what the cash flow needs to look like. Does that make sense? Probably didn't expect to hear that from a financial advisor. It's not just about the numbers, it's about the heart. And what is it that you're willing to sacrifice to get to where you want to get to? Okay? So money comes in, you have available cash, and then it goes out. I feel like all I do sometimes is collect money for the ATO, because I seem to give them a lot. But apparently it's your money. But I feel like as soon as it hits my bank account, it should be mine. Do you feel that way? Like, hang on a minute, it's in my bank account, but then I give it to the ATO. So just accept that. Just as part of being in business, you collect money for the ATO. Okay, so I feel like sending them an invoice for my time, but that probably doesn't get a well received either. But that's what it is, just that in and out, what's happening in there. If you don't have enough in your bank account for your expenses, you'll end up running late with your bills and you'll rely on credit. Australia has a debt problem, and it's not just on home loans, it's actually credit card debt. So when I have young people come in that have been on an awesome holiday overseas and they come back with what I call the dreaded hangover of debt, and I was asked this from a reporter, do you think people should borrow for a holiday? Well, I'm not opposed to borrowing for anything, as long as you have a strategy on how you're going to pay it off. And then there's no guilt if you do that. Okay, it's not for me to judge whether you should borrow or not. It's my judgment on whether or not you've made the right decision because you had a backup plan. So I prefer you don't borrow for a holiday, but that's just my personal opinion. So, yeah. Okay. So the health check of your cash flow. One of the things is, do you ask yourself these questions? Do you feel in control of your money? And are you financially comfortable overall? I love rating things. 1 to 10. 1 is I'm absolutely shivering at my knees, rocking in the corner. The other is I'm rocking this out, chicks. And what was it this morning you did? Get your mean girl on? Yeah, I've got this. Most of us are probably somewhere in the middle because we're just not sure. And one of the exercises, there you go. One of the exercises I'm going to ask you to do in a minute is grab out your phone. We're going to stand and do a little exercise. So do you feel secure about meeting your expenses? Okay, that means that you've got to look forward. Who do you need to give money to? When I first started advising, one of my mentor at the time, Christine, said to me, why would you be surprised to get a bill in the mail die? Because that was snail mail back then, right? There was none of this internet stuff. That's showing my age a bit. And I looked at her and went, okay, yeah, what's your point? And she said, well, why would you go to the letterbox and be surprised that you have a phone bill? Didn't you use the phone? It's a privilege to get a bill. It means somebody has trusted you to use a service or have a product and then you pay for it. That's a privilege. And that's not afforded to everybody in the world. If you don't want the bill, don't have the service or product. Does that make sense? Yeah? So you really need to take control of this and not be angry at the bill. You know, it's wasted energy for a start. You could redirect that into your business elsewhere. But when the bill comes in, what I want you to be able to say is, got it, it's covered. Sorry? Fines. Yeah, I struggle with that. I have a little die fund on the left-hand side, and I've learnt to use cruise control. But that whole school zone thing, that can be tricky. But yeah, that's the buffer, and that's for the unexpected. Okay, and then that might change your shoes to get the lead foots off. Yeah. But you need to focus on how you can take control now to be better prepared for the future. So one of the handouts I've got for you is a 12-month calendar, and you need to write when things are due. It's not a secret. You know when they're due. Yeah? I mean, we put our head in the sand and go, oh, it's not really due. You know, I do that about Bass every month. I go through that. It's not really due. And I said to the accountant, are you sure I have to pay this? And he gets to the point where he says, yes, Di. We've been over this. I'm like, just checking. We could have changed this month. You know, I may not have to pay. Maybe they can pay me, but that's not going to work. So what we do is we have the whole 12 months mapped out. It drives my family insane. But they need to know this stuff. The world, you don't wake up in the morning, it doesn't cost you anything. Sorry, it does. You know, so and I've got a couple of things there for you to think about on what that looks like. Have you got a savings account? Some people call it slavings, but I think that's the spending account, not the saving account. A saving account is the most important thing. Most women I meet have what I call the Plan B fund. And some women, when after I've had an interview with them, come and say to me, Di, just quietly on the side, I've got $40,000 sitting in another account. Don't tell my husband. Okay, whatever. Okay, awkward, but okay. Most people do. My grandmother taught me you always have an extra $20 in your wallet, secretly hidden away for the emergency. I'm thinking, Grandma, that's not enough now. But inflation happens. So this is the savings account that you need to have. And it takes time and it's hard to do because you just want to keep spending on your business. You want to keep investing in your business. You're just so passionate about it. But if you don't have stuff squirreled away, those opportunities that are going to come for you, you're not going to have the money for. Okay? So is this helping a little bit? Yeah? Okay. So feel as though you don't think about money at all? Would you say that you think about money in business? We just hope that it magically turns up. Magically turns up? Yeah. So you've got to think about it. You've got to think about where you're getting the money from. And this is where you can have a wish list, but I prefer you to have a no list. So these are my opportunities. When you're looking at revenue for your business, I break things up into what have I billed, what have I got an agreement to bill on, and what is my wish list. So then I know I'm not kidding myself. I'm not going to get to the end of next month and go, oh, well, I didn't get my wish list. Well, I was never going to anyway. So really be certain about that because it will take huge pressure off you and give you a reality check on where you are anyway. And hopefully you have more than what you think. And that often happens. You know, I'm not going to ask you to do anything I don't do myself. And I look down and I go, oh, wow, that was actually better than what I thought. I'd actually billed more than what I thought I did. Cool. So other times I go, oh, God, I've got to get some work going, you know, and I've probably, you know, procrastinated on something. So have your bank account set up so they're easy to manage. Okay. If you're looking at your bank account and it's got everything in the one, I just can't work like that. It drives me nuts. I have about 15 bank accounts, ladies. I collect them. It's like shoes, you know. So I have them all nicknamed, what it is. And I look, early in my career as a bankie, I was a teller in the bank, and we didn't have to pay for our bank accounts. So I had a truckload of them. And I have a holiday account, I have Di's personal grooming. It's an important account because I don't want to argue with any couple over how much my hair costs to get done. All right, that's just a wasted argument. Men don't get it. They go, well, why is it $200 and I can get mine done for $20? Have you seen the difference in our hairstyles? I mean, really? But that just save it. Beautician, wellness, all of those things into the personal grooming account, okay? That's what has to happen there. So have it all split up, what you need. Okay, for the business side of things, I have an account for GST because that's not my money apparently. So I have to give that to the ATO. And then I have a account for my tax. So I have staff, so I have money set aside for the tax out of the payroll, and I have money set aside for superannuation that I have to pay. So I do that because it's not my money. I only want in my working account what is mine. And then I forecast all my bills. It takes time, sit down, I think, goodness me, how many bills do I need to create? It's not a competition, Di, but they're there. And that's really the secret. So just write it all out, get your head around it, and just use an Excel spreadsheet for yourself. Write down all your bills, the months across the side, and just map it out. And then you know. And if you've been using MyOb or Xero or any of those ones, you can go through each month and have a look at what your average expenditure is. And I'm not the most detailed person at times. Ask my husband. And he works with me, which is challenging for him because he's Mr. Detail, but I think that's why it works. And I will know intuitively every month what our outgoings are, and I will be within probably $200 or $300 of it. And he'll look at me and go, how do you know that? Because I've looked at the numbers that many times when I was starting out that I know my numbers, and that's what you need to know. You need to know what goes out before you even get up in the morning. This is the cash flow, and I feel like I've probably bored you to death on it, but it is the most solid foundation you will have because you will feel in control. Cash flow management means you are in control. You're not giving it out. You will feel secure about what's happening. You will say yourself time, because this thing up here, it talks to you all the time. It doesn't shush. So unless you go to a flotation tank, maybe you'll get a bit of shush time, but it just keeps talking to you. You do not want to be having the conversation with yourself at 3 o'clock in the morning going, gee, I hope that direct debit didn't go through last night. You don't want to do that. It's just not. So I want to give you time back. And that's one of the big things we talk about with cash flow management. It's about your time. Don't think about that. You've got other more important things to think about with your business. How to grow it, how to make that customer experience even more phenomenal than what you're doing now. That's where you should be thinking. Cash flow, don't waste your time on it. Get it sorted, get it done. Yeah? It would be good if we could do that. Start focusing on your day-to-day and plan for the future. So if you can get this day-to-day thing, of which I would really like you, I think it's the next slide, is to grab your phone out for me. And I'm just going to get you to do a little exercise, if you don't mind. So this will help with some of the behavioural things, because our relationship with money, I'm a bit of a shoe collector. I collect shoes, but I never spend over $50 on a pair of shoes. Okay? I just don't. So I'm pretty harsh on my shoes. And I usually take a bit of a breath and go, but mind you, I buy 4 at the one time. My husband says that's not working, Di. I said, yes, I get 4 pairs of shoes instead of 1. So I'm very happy with that. So has everybody got their phone? I'd like you to go to your banking app. Okay, and I'd like you to go to your favourite bank account that you like to use all the time, or credit card. Whichever one you use the most, I would like you to go to that account. The one that you just bought coffee on this morning might be the one to use. Just saying. Everybody got there? Oh, here we go. I can see people already going like uncomfortable, not wanting to do this. Okay, everybody got their transactions up? Okay, what I want you to do, oh, yep, this lady's got it. Just flick through. All I want you to do is flick up the screen. Here we go. We're on Facebook, but we're on your bank account. Okay? The question is, out of those things you just saw in your bank account, I want to ask you 2 questions. Who do you give your money to? Coffee shops? Kmart? Uber Eats? What was that, eBay? Yeah? So what I do is I download, because all of the, it's wonderful, this internet banking. Download the last 12 months of transactions, ladies. Put it into the CSV file, which is in Excel. Oh, no, you don't want to? Okay, sorry. All right. So, and this is on your business as well, right? You do not if you don't look at these things and be the mirror up here and say, well, who did we give our money to? Who did we give it to? Okay? I just want to know. I celebrate a lot, because clearly celebrations is something I'm attached to. And when I go through and I go, oh my God, I celebrated a lot this week. Got to just drive past. None of us are immune from this, ladies. None of us are immune. You get through your day. My goodness, we are bombarded from so many places. The last thing we want to have to do is think about getting dinner ready. Or we've had a tough day. You think, geez, that glass of wine on a Wednesday, is that kind of hump day? Is that acceptable? Yeah, of course it is. So it's got bubbles, it's even more acceptable. But we've really got to understand our own behaviour. And that's why I love this little exercise, and I love the fact, and I thank you so much for sharing, because it makes it really interactive in that way. But who you give your money to is the first question. I just want you to understand that, because the coffee guy, who's the coffee lady? You're the yes, Tahana. Sorry, I almost had it. Tahana, what relationship do you have with your barista? A really good one? Why is that? What makes it good? You have three baristas. All right, you're racking them up here. I really want to look at this account now. So there's 3, and there's 3 relationships. So what inevitably happens when I come along and say, how about missing one of those? It's like, oh, but I've got a relationship with the barista. Next time I go in there, they're going to ask me about, well, where were you yesterday? Is everything all right? Because what you've done is you've got yourself into a habit, and you've got a relationship. And look, I love my barista. It's now called Nespresso. So, I had to change a habit. Organic coffee is our thing at our office. I mean, we sound, pretty cool. I had a habit of buying coffee every morning. It was $5 a cup. And because I felt guilty, I'd buy it for everybody else. So what became a $5 a day habit ended up a $20 a day habit. I did it every day, and I spent $100 a week at the lovely organic shop. Of course, I was on first name basis with everybody. Unfortunately, the shop closed, which I thought was quite dramatic for the team to sort of do that and get them to move away. But it taught me a very valuable lesson. What we did just on this is we've got an espresso machine. It's one of the most beautiful things in our office. Everybody loves it. We bought organic coffee pods. We bought organic milk, and we took a $5 a day habit for Day down to $1.50. Do I miss my people? I do, but they're not there. But we had sort of talked this through that it would become a once a week thing. Now, this might sound like really small stuff, ladies. It sounds minutiae, but you add that up over a year, and how many more years until you retire? Okay? That's the monetary side of it, and that's that right brain sort of functioning. But what I really want you to think about is what I'm giving you back. When you can do that, the one thing you get back, because you're all busy, right, is time. Okay? You think Uber Eats is convenient. No, it's not. If you've got kids, why aren't you cooking with them? It's an opportunity for you to spend time together differently. There's a whole bunch of stuff about our money behavior and our relationship with money. It's hard to get, but for some reason, we seem to want to give it away real quick. So that's what I'm sort of talking about, if that makes sense to you. It's one of the, when in our business, financial well-being is our focus, and that means wellness in your entire life. We know from what we've learned with working with people is that doing that one exercise, download to a CSV, sort it on the column. It's usually column C. Who am I giving my money to? Okay. The next question I want you to ask yourself, do I still want to? Can you do that for me? 2 things, really simple out of today's session. Who do you give your money to? And do you still want to? Okay, I've worked with a young man, and he doesn't mind me sharing his story. He had a flavoured milk problem. Okay? He put on weight. It sounds silly, right? He was so unhappy. And when we got down to it, he had a flavoured milk problem. He used to go into this one spot, and it just became a really bad habit. And he wanted to be a personal trainer. So he stopped doing that because he put on so much weight. And the milk alone doesn't do that. We know that. But it was one thing that was very symbolic of what he was trying to achieve. And so I saw him the other week because we were coaching him through all of this, because there's a lot more to it, right? It's not just about that. It's a crutch for something else. And so he's actually now, I asked him not to stop. I asked him to walk past 2 days a week. And he's doing that. So do you see what I mean? It's little things. Don't starve yourself of these things. You work hard, and it's a fallacy to say, I deserve this. It's just what you want. Just be honest with yourself. You don't deserve much. You work hard, you get paid. That's what you deserve, right? But these other things are just what you want. So just make sure you know what you want, and then make sure you can afford it. And if you can't, the great thing about being in business is your income is unlimited. You don't have the shackles of being an employee. You can do whatever you like in your business and create it to be whatever you want. Okay, that's a wonderful thing, but it's damn scary at the same time because it's up to you. So cash flow, to me, is Queen. I love the Queen. I think she's an amazing woman. And that's why I changed it. It used to be the saying, is cash flow is king? I changed that because I'm talking to you guys. If I was talking to men, I'd say cash flow is Queen. So, because I'm the presenter, I get to say what I like. But cash flow versus the budget. So have I been able to connect with you the difference between the two? So cash flow is who you give your money to. Is there any left? And a budget is what you want to achieve. Okay, a sales budget or revenue budget is the most important one you'll do. and then reviewing your expenses. Try and get somebody detailed, like my husband, to do that. If you've got somebody like that in your life, they're awesome, because I find it boring. But finding the free money is the other real key ingredient here. Needs versus wants is another really important thing. In your packs, I've got these 8 tips to get you started. The first one was our exercise today. So what I want you to look at is setting some goals. Get better. I just can't read up there, ladies. I don't know if you can, but I put my glasses out just in case. Get better understanding of your spending, that exercise. Write down a budget. Compare your providers. If you've got services you're paying for, put them on notice, okay? Because, you know, the relationship that you form with people, oh, but they're nice. Oh, but, girls do that. We do that. You've got to stop doing that. You're a business person. You need to make sure you're paying fair value and receiving great service. Okay, so remember, you're in control, your business. Review your insurances. Please do that. Okay, I'm going to touch on that very briefly because we really need to finish up very soon. And get on top of your super. I can do a whole session on that. And embrace your online services and talk to an expert if you feel like you're struggling a little bit at the moment. This slide was the exercise that we did. So I want you to write down your top 3. I've just on food. If you're walking around like this or this, that's a snack. Okay? If your food is with a knife and fork and there's other people around the table that you actually know, so not a communal table, just to tick it off a die, that's socialisation for me, and that's important. Dining out with friends is really important. And if you look at the wellbeing wheel, social is one of them. So don't cut that one out unless it's every night with your friends. But please think about how we eat, like this in the car. You know, that's a dreadful habit, isn't it? And we don't get to digest properly. And there's a whole session that you can do on that too with a nutritionist. Okay, I'm just going to finish up with these things. In your packs, there is this one, which is before I open my business, my expenses are. My doors are open. These are my expenses. Investments are areas to grow my business. Okay, so things like marketing, coaching, business improvement, workshops and events, you must constantly invest in yourself. Okay, somebody asked me the top tip for shares, which I do a lot of, and the best tip I can give you on the best return, invest in yourself. Okay, you'll make millions if you keep investing in yourself. Now I have a profit. Who else do I have to pay? So you can tell the, tax man, probably shareholders, employee entitlements and so forth. Okay. So I'm just wrapping up. This is my 12-month cash flow mapping. Okay. Please grab out, because when you do that Excel sheet, you do it on your business and you do it on your personal, where you've mixed it up a little bit. Just really be looking at it and going, if I was to sell my business tomorrow, how could I justify? I think it was sushi, you said. Yeah. How do I justify that? Because if your ultimate goal is to have a business partner or to sell your business at some point, then you need to be very mindful about the personal expenses you put through your business. Okay. So that's what I've got there for you. So you can do the mapping. Income I've spoken about. I love the share economy. Australians are terrible at it, but globally the share economy is really taking especially Mexico and places like that are really crowded. So what of your goods can you share? So if you've got a ride-on mower on an acre, does everybody on the street need a ride-on mower? Really? That's another, $3,000 piece of equipment you don't need to have just for your pattern alone. So share economy, please do some Googling on it, on what you can do with the current goods you have that you can share. Okay. And how you can share it with other business owners is a really credible idea. So we try and do that a lot. Money traps for me, which I'll quickly, if 5 more minutes, is that all right? So is 5 more minutes okay? Yeah, is 5 more minutes all right with you guys? It's okay, because I know that we've sort of gone a bit over today. You can tell that there's lots of information that everybody who's here to share with you wants to give you, right? It's great. And I'm not going away. You can talk to me anytime. So I'm in Brisbane. That's what that meant, not that I'm staying all day. Right. So this Afterpay, Zip Pay, and interest-free finance, right? Afterpay is a problem. It's a massive, massive problem. Okay, it's the biggest trap. I'd rather you have a credit card. All right. But Afterpay, one of my because we do women's wealth workshops, we have a client share their story. And the lovely Laura She shares her story about her $2,000 a month Afterpay habit. Exactly. How did that happen? I asked her many, many times. And so she's fixed that now. Oh, was that me? I've dropped my phone. God, I hope it didn't break. Oh, thank God. Sorry, my husband dropped his phone this week and it looks like a spider web. And my son dropped his phone and it looks like a spider web. So we got two to get fixed. So I'm thinking don't add to the list. So I think with the just what you're doing with everything, please, be mindful. And if you practice mindfulness, which I encourage you to do, be mindful with who you give your money to. Because the problem with Afterpay is that you don't actually have to apply for credit. So that's where it's a problem. Bad. Okay. If you're in cash flow crisis like that, and often we see people in that sort of situation, it's just spending more than you earn. If you spend more than you earn, it's a problem. You need to get some help. Okay, sorry. And same in business. A couple of things on insurance. With the lady that was on before me, I think the one thing that you should have taken out of that is, please, if you are looking at, or you know somebody looking at leaving their job to go into business, get their income protection sorted out. I can't do it after. It's difficult. Insurers don't want to take you on. So if you've got income protection and it's not agreed value and it's what's called indemnity, so I'll just quickly run you through this. Agreed value means that you lock in what your sum insured is now. Okay, and I did that, and I do thank my younger self, 20 odd years ago for doing that, because then I went into business. So I knew exactly what I was going to get paid if I was sick or injured. So income protection will only pay on sickness or injury. Okay, so not redundancy, not leaving your job, none of that. Okay, so there are some loan covers that will cover you for a redundancy up to probably 12 weeks, if you've been dismissed, retrenched, that sort of thing. But that's it's very expensive, and for the amount of money, I'd rather you save up and have an emergency fund than to actually put yourself through paying insurance. So income protection is your best friend. It is tax deductible, the premiums, to either yourself or your business. So you really, and these slides are there for you. Life insurance is just either paid if you're dead, pretty straightforward really, or terminally ill, which is less than 12 months to live. Total and permanent disability, Mack trucks come along, wiped you out, but you're still with us, but you're going to cost us. Okay, so you're not going to be able to go back to work, and that kicks in after 3 months. So those ones, sometimes you'll have what's called a transfer period that you can take the insurance with you on leaving. If you miss that period of time, which is usually either 30 or 60 days, you don't get to keep the cover. So this is where you really need to look at your insurance policies and make sure that you have them correctly lined up. For any business owner, agreed value is critical. You have a thing called, for income protection, waiting period, which is like an excess on your car insurance, and then you have what's called a benefit period, which is how long you'll get paid if you were sick or injured for whatever period. I have a client at the moment. She was in her late 40s. She went on income protection claim, and she unfortunately will be paid until she's 65. Okay, but every time she sees me, she thanks me because she has an income, and they're in business. So it was a fight because it wasn't agreed value, but I'm happy to take on the fight. I'm the type, what's Laura said to me, I'm the type of girl that takes guns to a knife fight. That's that mean girl stuff, right? So sometimes you've got to fight for stuff, and we did for that lady. So income protection is critical, absolutely critical out of any of the insurances, because if you are temporarily disabled or sick and you're self-employed, who's paying your sick leave, ladies? No one. So that's why income protection is your best friend. Total and permanent disability, lump sum payment, often through your super fund. The reason we put that death cover and TPD through super is because it's tax deductible to your super fund. Trauma cover or critical illness, you'll see it as diagnosed on a hideous illness, okay, stroke, heart attack, cardiomyopathy, cancer. At those four, 84% of claims. Okay, so this stuff happens. I'm not the person to say, should I have this stuff die, because I deal with claims every day. Okay, so we've paid out death claims this week, which I hate. We paid out TPD claim this week that I've been fighting for about 6 months. We just have a little happy dance in the tea room on a Friday when these things get done. So it's not easy times. We do a lot of pro bono work for the Cancer Council, for people in financial hardship. Often that is paying out claims. So it's emotional stuff. Bring it on. We'll help you out. because women do that well, especially in financial advice. When it's emotional, we can deal with it. Sometimes men are not so good at that. So income protection is your best friend. Superannuation. Oh, these are the general insurance ones. So talk to me about these ones later. But general insurance in your business is critical. Product liability, public liability. You just feel like you should be best friends with your insurance broker. Yes, you should. Okay. So make sure you get those ones ticked off. And then because everybody's starving and you're probably uncomfortable in your seats, superannuation is your best friend as a business owner. Income protection's one. This is another one of your friends. You should love it dearly. It is the only asset you have protected from creditors. Okay. So when our lady was talking before with the legal indemnities, guarantees, that whole stuff, you're in business. It's a risky thing. But this one is the one that will save you. Okay? And if you go into bankruptcy, which would be very sad, or you go through a divorce, well, this one will still be accessible through divorce settlements. But if you go into bankruptcy, this is the only thing they don't touch. Okay? And bankruptcy doesn't mean you're a bad business person. Okay? Let's just get that out of the way. Sometimes things just go wrong. Okay? So, the other things with superannuation is it gives you tax deductions. So there's a whole bunch of things here. And I just say, I really wanted to share the cash flow stuff with you today. But I'm more than happy to talk about superannuation if you want to do, a conversation around that, because it is very, very important. Okay. The other thing is, just with self-managed super funds. If you are looking at buying your own premises, please have a chat with your financial advisor or your accountant about whether or not your super fund can buy those premises for you. Okay, so that's another really good strategy we have for business owners. And it's very effective from a retirement point of view, which we love. Commercial property is a good yield, but it has its whole bunch of risks with it. But there is a lot of upside that you can talk about. Please, I am local. I'm available by email. My team are here to help, and we pay it forward. So whatever you need to know more information about, we'll help you out with. And if you want to look at our services, you can do that. But I would absolutely, in the sisterhood, help each other. Thank you so much for your time.